Welcome to episode 125. Today we're going to think differently about traveling outside the United States. So before I left about a month ago for my Papua New Guinea and Australia trip, a friend asked me, "Aren't you scared to travel outside the United States?" I was really taken aback by the question. No, I've never considered being scared traveling. I didn't even really know how to answer. All I said was, no. But I've been thinking about this, especially while traveling. I've been thinking about, what does that mean? I didn't even ask her why. Why would I be scared? Because really, I didn't really want to know. I don't like entering thoughts like that into my head. I love seeing the world. I learn so much more when I travel and when I'm there and when I experience it. I don't bungee jump. I don't fly airplanes anymore. I used to do that. I don't really even ski anymore. I don't gamble. I don't do any of that. But I do get adrenaline rushes when I'm traveling. It's very exciting and it's very scary because it's new. So let me just caveat for a little bit though. Are there scary places in the world? Yes, absolutely. And you do need to be wise. You do need to be careful where you go, who you go with, when you're going. I mean, all of that, okay? But I guess I have boundaries. There it is. It's boundaries in my life that I do set. I do go to some great locations, but the boundaries, for example, never go anywhere alone. I'm not always good with that boundary, I'll be completely honest, because, when I was in the resort in Papua New Guinea, I would walk to my room alone, but some places you shouldn't even really do that. So, those are some of the boundaries that I've set up for me in my life. You need to be cautious, right? We need to make wise decisions. And when we do, we can experience such an amazing variety of beautiful people and breathtaking places. So with that in mind, in the past month, I have visited 4 countries besides the United States, 4 different countries. And during my travels, I did pay attention to what I was feeling and what I was experiencing. So here's what you can expect when you travel outside the United States. Number 1, you will have experiences different than what you're normally used to. These experiences will be different than your home or different than other places that you've been to. When these experiences, gosh, when I think about it, food experiences, animal experiences, excursion experiences, vegetation and climate and weather. And, when I was in Papua New Guinea, I was on the Pacific Rim of Fire. I've learned about this in grade school, right? But the Pacific Rim of Fire is this rim around the Pacific plate. So the Pacific Ocean is one ginormous plate. It was so cool because it was Nathaniel, the person who was assigned to me. He was showing me on a map, and all of this border around that plate is where all the major volcanoes happen. I learned this in grade school, but yeah, it didn't stick with me, right? So to be able to experience and see the map and talk to people who live there, who live right next to an active volcano, that's crazy to me too, right? But just to talk to them, it is so much different than your own neighborhood. You notice everything, right? There's things in my neighborhood I don't take pictures of anymore, but if somebody knew we're coming to my neighborhood, they would. For example, I was driving the other day next to the bluffs. I live in the Midwest of the United States. I was in Wisconsin, and there were the bluffs, and there was water coming out of the bluffs, except it was frozen. So there were these ginormous ice crystals frozen on the bluff. It was really beautiful. And I don't take pictures of that anymore because I see it all the time. I see it every winter. But somebody new to this area sure would. And they should definitely be paying attention to that. These are the fun experiences that you get to observe and be a part of. Now, for me personally, I absolutely love nature. I am all about sunrises and sunsets. It's the most beautiful movie that happens every single day. I am all about getting up at 5 a.m. to see that sunrise. Love it. I also like different trees, different vegetation. I love palm trees. I mean, because here in Iowa and Wisconsin, we have evergreen trees. So, hello, I love palm trees. When I was in Papua New Guinea, I saw a lot of palm trees, but it was different. There was, as soon as we landed in Rabaul and Kokopo area, I noticed right away, there were these clusters, I guess I'd call it, of palm trees. And when we were driving to our resort, I really saw them up close. These clusters, they weren't manicured and landscaped next to a resort. That's how I usually see palm trees, right? This was like a forest of palm trees. Just like when I'm in northern Wisconsin, I see a forest of evergreen trees. This was a forest. There was amazing quantities of palm trees. There was a lot of other kind of growth, right? That's why when I say it wasn't manicured or landscaped, that made it beautiful. It made it so much fun to see and experience. I mean, the creative beauty that's in this world, when you get out there in the world and you get to see it yourself. Wow. What a blessing. What a blessing. You know, tourist locations are fun, and that's where I was in Mexico, was a tourist location. But to get out of the tourist locations, amazing experiences. Okay, so what else? What else will you experience when you leave the United States? Well, number two, your knowledge is going to increase, right? Now, I was a good student in elementary school, but when it came to especially history class, I remembered the details enough to take a test and pass it. And then all those details just kind of left me. But I will never forget the Pacific Rim of Fire. And I will never forget the map that I looked at. I mean, I even took a picture of the map, to be honest. I will never forget those kinds of things. I'm just returning from Cancun last week, and we went to the Mayan archaeological site of Tulum. And I didn't really know anything about Tulum, right? I never really do until I go there. Well, now that I've been there, I've also been to Chichen Itza in the past. We also went to Coba, another Mayan site. So now that I've been there, I have more Mayan knowledge, more Mayan history knowledge than I ever gained when I was younger. So get this. This is one of the very fun pieces of detail or data that I loved, that I grabbed a hold of. Our tour guide was telling us that the original name of Tulum, it was not Tulum, it was Zama. Maybe I have the accent off a little bit. Zama. Okay, it's Z-A-M-A. That's the original name. That's the name the Mayans gave their city. Well, why do they call it Tulum? Because when the Spanish conquerors came and discovered, I guess, Tulum, and they were communicating with the Mayans, they asked, what's that city over there? What's that community? And the Mayans said, the Tulum? Tulum means wall in Mayan language. And the community of Tulum is surrounded by 4 walls. And then in the ocean is a coral reef. So it's surrounded by walls. So the Spanish people thought the name of the city was Tulum, and it stuck. And that's what they named it. That's what it's still named today, because of the walls. I could have never told you that when I was younger. The knowledge that you gain, it means so much more, because it's going to connect with you. It's your experience. That is fun. That is very fabulous. Okay, what else? What else will you experience when you travel outside the United States? Well, you're definitely going to experience some challenges and surprises as well. Okay, maybe your flight's going to get delayed. Maybe your luggage is going to get lost. There's those typical travel challenges, which, by the way, that happens when you travel within the United States. Okay, so that might be some challenges or surprises, or you might run into something a little different, like a moose. When you're walking on a trail in Sweden, you might have a moose cross your path. By the way, they're not as friendly as they look. You want to stay out of their way. So you have to be in tune, right? When you're taking an adventure on a path that you don't know where you're going, you better keep your eyes and ears open. Okay, so that might be a challenge or an experience, or you might be in London and you might get on a bus that's going in the wrong direction, meaning it's not going in the direction you want to be going. Yeah, my husband and I definitely Did that quite a few times. We really learned how to love Google Maps. I mean, literally, we would get on a map or we would get on a bus and we would open our Google Maps and watch to make sure we're going where we want to go. Whew, that was in itself a whole challenge. What else? Oh, yes, you might, you might have a little bit of a language barrier when you're in Mexico with the waitress. Last week, we forgot our water bottles on the table after breakfast. So I ran back. It was probably about 10, 15 minutes later. I ran back and I was trying to communicate with the waitress. They really do a great job speaking English. But now I was really testing her English and my Spanish. Yeah, it wasn't working. It wasn't working. So thankfully, I got out Google Translate and I spoke into my phone exactly what I wanted to say. And it translated it, and I showed her my phone, and she said, "Oh, follow me." Well, it was at Lost and Found, not at the table. It was at Lost and Found up front. So, you're going to have challenges. You're going to have some surprises. You're going to have some struggles to be ready for. You can't avoid it, and you can't even prepare for the challenges you're going to encounter, but you can prepare your mindset to leave on your vacation or your travels with the mindset of being a problem solver. That is what's going to help you conquer your vacation and conquer the challenges that come your way. Okay, and the final thing that you're going to face when you travel outside the United States, you're going to gain a greater appreciation for your home, for everything you call home. The physical home. I know when I traveled out west last summer, I really missed the feeling of my carpet on my bare feet. Silly stuff, right? So on these last few trips in the last few months, I've really missed iced tea. They don't have that in Cancun or Papua New Guinea. Maybe Australia, maybe. I also miss chai tea lattes. Really miss that. I miss my daily routine. I miss the familiarity of my city, just being able to drive without thinking. That was beautiful. In Australia, they drive on the left. Oh, just being a passenger was exhausting. And then you have to walk on the left. And yeah, that was a lot of thinking. I missed my country. I missed my dogs. I missed my home. So, when you do travel anywhere, you have a greater appreciation for what you're familiar with and what your home is all about. There's a reason why I chose here, right? It has been marvelous. It's been a marvelous 5 weeks of amazing travels, amazing experiences, amazing people that I've been able to travel with. Thank you to all of you who have made my travels so wonderful. As amazing as it's been, though, it's so wonderful to be back home and to have that experience, to kind of regroup and prep myself for the next vacation. So, it was interesting on Sunday after being home for 2 hours, my laundry was piled up, my mail was piled up, the dogs had already exhausted me. I mean, they literally jumped and attacked me when I came home. It's a little overwhelming to come home. But to be honest, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I hope this episode today has helped you think differently about the travels that you've done and the travels you have planned. And if traveling outside the United States just isn't quite your thing yet, I get it. Just start by doing something new in the next few months within your own community or your own state, or your own region, or the United States. Do something to get you out of your normal. You'll get an adrenaline rush, and yes, you'll have a little bit of fear. Those challenges and surprises, they do ignite your fear a little bit. But be safe, be wise, be cautious, and challenge your fear. Challenge yourself to get out of your normal. It will spark so many experiences and knowledge and learning and fun. It'll become addictive. You guys make it a great week. I hope this has challenged you to think differently. Think differently. I hope it's also made you more empowered in what you have in front of you. I'll see you next week.